I do.
Look at that.
Okay, great. Thank you all for talking to me. I really, really love the film.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for screening the film.
Absolutely. We
I've
screened the
known you
film.
for many years.
Really nice.
I'm a writer, but I also coordinate the Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in Atlanta. We screened this for opening night about a month ago and it sold out and everybody loved it. So thank you all so much.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Thank you. I'm just
Yeah.
centering.
This is for all of you. Can you talk a little bit about how Ang Lee's original might have impacted you growing up?
I guess I'll start.
Okay.
We've talked about this. We've talked about this, but
Yeah.
Ang Lee's The Wedding Banquet was the first gay film I ever saw, and the fact that it was a gay and Asian film, I feel very fortunate that the first representation of a queer person was also an Asian person, and that that person's identities were in one body, and that for me. Even though I might not have realized it at the time, I think really set me on the right path. And it's inspired me constantly. And I've seen the film, many times over the years. And, you know, watching it in preparation for this adaptation, it just inspired so many thoughts about, getting married and having kids, these conversations that I'm having with my boyfriend, and so it, I felt very motivated to make the film.
And kudos for not only paying such great homage, but also just making this so modern and current. And it just feels so touchable. Can you sort of talk about that element to this?
That was one of the things that was so appealing about it. There's this maybe built-in sort of hesitancy or skepticism people have when they hear remake. Um, this is this felt like such a what's your word, reimagining. It stands on its own. It's if you never see both, if you see one or the other, they I mean, I guess maybe we like to think they're in the same universe, but that's why we didn't have The Wedding Banquet as a film pulled off the shelf in the de-queering.
Yeah. That would have
Too
been
much.
too much.
Too much. Um, I feel like one of the things that just really, really stood out to me when Andrew first approached me with the project was that James stayed on as a writer.
Yeah.
That was developed with each director that was going to be helming the iteration. That it had, it was just immediately obvious the cultural impact and the significance the film had. And it kind of blew me away that it was like, wow, when I did my first deep dive into Ang Lee's IMDb when I was in high school, just falling in love with him as a director, seeing that that was one of his origin pieces. I didn't see it. It was hard for me to get a hold of it. This was like 2002, sophomore year of high school. But it flagged it. And then when it came back around, I was just thrilled to be able to watch it. And then after reading Andrew's script first and then watching that film, it was like, what a brilliant way of preserving what's great about the original, but making it something really unique and updating the conversation on all levels. Queerness is different now, and it's society's changed. So how do you change the conversation? Conversations around gentrification have changed. It's kind of the same story, but it's almost it's hyperdrive now. It's like it's you know having a home like this, you need four adults keeping it afloat. The thought of even having children in this day and age, it's like you need to have a big community and a lot of people pitching in. It's just the reality for a lot of millennials. So it felt like all of the impacts and commentary that was so subtle but so vital to the original was absolutely intact with this one as well.
Okay. Kelly, can you talk about the relationship between Angela and Lee? Because it feels so lived in. It feels like these characters have known each other for so long, but it's also a very complex relationship.
Yeah, I think that says a lot about
Andrew's ability to quickly cultivate community and the ability for actors to be comfortable on set, and also to have worked with this incredible actress right here. People have said this to us a lot, that it feels very lived in and it feels like there's a history there. Our characters have been in a relationship for 9, 10 years at this point, and the first scene that we shot, we met that day and had maybe 15 minutes before we were supposed to have this like long lived in history. But it was so easy to just find my little nook on Lily's shoulder.
Got a
And
perfect nook right there.
yeah. And I think I'm just grateful to have spent time with Lily, because I think that she has taught me so much as an actress, but also as a person, just helping to cultivate that environment. That's not an easy thing to do. And I mean, besides that, just her uncanny ability to be authentic and honest in every moment. There was so much for me to just receive. So yeah.
Likewise,
Love you.
I'm sure.
love you.
Andrew, what an amazing ensemble. Can you sort of talk about all these people that you're working with? I mean, they're all just so terrific and individualistic in this film.
Yeah, it's a weirdo ensemble, right? It's super spiky, like I don't know if people would expect, this group of actors to make a movie together. But not only do they come together so beautifully, they create this like wonderful little family. I think when I had my conversations with each actor, I just had this feeling of kind of generosity. And I think, there's something about the screenplay where, I really like wore my heart on my sleeve with it. And I think the people that responded to it, like, it was this feeling of, like we were attracting the right people. And my casting director Jenny Ju and I, like we just really wanted the eventual outcome to be an audience watching the film and wanting to be a part of this family. And so it was a real it was a real joy to see it come together. It was very cool for me to bring together like so many like talented people in different realms, like with Bowen from SNL and like Lily from Killers of the Flower Moon, like you don't necessarily imagine again like everybody in the same film. And then of course, like we've got Joan, Chen, and Yuh-jung, a legend of Chinese cinema and a legend of Korean cinema. But yeah, I think it was a really hard thing to for each actor to pull off just because of the kind of balance of drama and comedy. And, like these two do it better than anybody, right? Like, I love seeing like Kelly's goofy reactions. Like one of my favorite things in the film is like if you just did like a fan cam of Kelly's reactions, I think it would be so great. But yeah, like and then just this incredible intimacy between the two, between Angela and Lee, like there's just something it just so special about this entire group that I'm excited for people to get to watch.
How much of a difference does it make to have queer talent behind the camera and in front of the camera?
A big difference, Jim. I think this was my first experience being on a set that was primarily queer, not just in its cast, but a lot of our crew as well. And there was, I think, a profound recognition of that, a recognition of how rare that was and how special that was. And I think we as a cast very quickly kind of held on to that and recognized how many times different crew members would come up to us and sort of say, this is the thing I'm most excited about because we get to explore and celebrate this part of our identity. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen very often. So I think that we were all very aware of how important and how special and how rare that was. And Lily and I have been saying this a lot, but it felt like making the film was the experience of having a really warm hug. And also, I think that shows when you watch it.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Okay. One more question. This film would stand up anytime, but it's such a awkward time in our country with so much going on politically. Why is it important to have this film out right now?
Yeah, I'll say for me, I wish we lived in better times, Uh, I am thankful that our film can provide a moment for people to, let their walls down, like be vulnerable so that they can like fill themselves up so that they can heal, um, and then go out there, to the greater world just with more tools, more inspiration, to protect the people we love. And so, I think film and art uh, is really great and kind of inspiring, and we still need to take that next step. This film is so much about stewardship and making the world a better place for the next generation, and I hope that this film can help inspire that stewardship.
Okay.
Yeah, joy is resistance. And I
Mm.
think so much of particularly a lot of folks that are finding themselves new to the front lines of picketing and protesting of all of that, because there's a very collective reason to do so right now. The fatigue of that is very real, and conversations in activist circles that have been on the front lines for multiple generations. I think about, just for example, choosing to make my character Duwamish and the Duwamish themselves. Carter granted them federal recognition, Bush rescinded it. This idea of the federal government telling you have a right to exist, wavering and going back and forth depending on who's in office. It's like, but Duwamish still remain. They choose what their family looks like. They choose what their culture looks like. They, every opportunity, acquire land that's theirs legally. There's always ways of circumventing systems that are trying to erase your existence or deny your existence, deny who you are. And that circumvention is love. It's the people, it's the community that you show up for. So I think I'm really grateful that our film, we didn't intend for it to be like a dose of good medicine for folks who are fatigued and fighting just for their right to exist. But you need that. I think that's the way that we all win in the end. It's like we don't apologize for our existence. We celebrate who we are, we celebrate each other, we affirm each other, we uplift each other, despite what any large entity is trying to say about who we are. It's like we remain, we're here. And we need that. It's a real gift giving giving people the good medicine of a warm hug in uncertain times.
Thank you for that. Um, Thank you all for talking to me. Thank you again for the film. I'm so happy for you all. Congratulations, Andrew. Again, it's always lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for the film.
Cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you so
Jim.
much. Take care.